Yeah.
I would say.
Your tour will take about an hour. You'll be spending some time on board the aircraft, some time underneath it, and with only look a little quick race through the flight deck without tripping over multiple buttons and so on. So that's the format of your tour. A couple of health and safety things we have to go through first, because these days you can't get away from them, can you? So let's get that way first. Health and safety. To board the aircraft, first of all, you're going to be using standard Manchester aircraft wibbly wobbly steps. What I can say, if you've ever used them, you'll know what I mean. Please, they are safe. Please feel free to use the handrail. They are the height of a house and they're quite high, so and they do wobble when there's a crowd on them. When you get to the entrance is not like the jets you used to get them on today. It's very low. So if you might height, you kids are going to be great, but if you might height or above, you will need to duck, because trust me, you don't want to end up with a headache for the rest of the day. Mind your head, okay? If you remember nothing else from this, just remember mind your head. That's getting in the aircraft. You turn right at the top and you go and sit yourselves down in the forward cabin, which is very cosy indeed. And again, the overhead lockers are very low. You see them when you sit down, it's not a problem. It's when you stand up again, you forget they're there. Mind your head. When you go to see, I think Elaine's going to be the flight deck. So when you go and visit Elaine the flight deck, the flight deck, one of them's going to be the flight deck.
One of us will be there.
Teaching you how to fly. Just remember, that goes down to 4'6". It's loads of overhead protrusions and things. You can easily scalp yourself. So, what's the word of the day? Mind your heads, exactly, remember your heads, okay. Second thing is, we don't have any food or drinks, I think you're all clear on that because she's a museum piece. Third thing is, we very respectfully ask that you resist the urge to fiddle in the theatre. One more for the next bit of this, and then set you up for the tour. Does that sound good for everybody? Yeah. Perfect, okay, that's it. Let's get the control, and see if we can get this video on for you. I don't think so. Okay, I'm just going to come. Right, we're going to go. Have any of you been into the hangar yet this morning?
Just quickly.
Yeah, you have, because some of you have already seen the star of our show, and some of you haven't. We're going to go meet her. Okay, I'm going to leave. Come on in. Where's the group one? Come in. Come on round.
Where can we film? We can't film when you're talking.
Nope, anything else is fine.
Right. Welcome on board. It'd be nice if we were going somewhere, wouldn't it? Mind your heads, don't forget that bit of information, especially when you're sitting down again. Okay.
So we're here on Concorde.
So those are very nice, isn't it? Yeah. Not going to get that on Ryanair or EasyJet, right? The 38-inch screen picture is very nice. Okay, just before we start, because I'm going to be telling you a little bit about Concorde's story on here. There's a lot of you to get through the flight deck, so I'm going to send you in groups of 4. Do we have any natural groups of 4? I know there's a family there. Are you the only natural group? What's Concorde's story? I'm going to assume you don't know an awful lot about it. Just, you can leave your coat on that here if you want to tight through. School windows, dogs start barking. Chickens stopped laying eggs, all sorts of things were going on the ground. Basically, it wasn't very user-friendly. Welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back. Just starting about to talk about stars.
I'm going to sit on the chair with these gentlemen.
No problem.
First officer here, flight engineer there. Flight engineer, the busiest man on the plane during flight, and we'll cover some of the things that he did. Over here, the instruments are duplicated on one side and the other. So up here you've got your altimeter, you've got your Mach meter, so 2.02, oh sorry, that's speed. You've got your speed, you've got your Mach meter, your artificial horizon, and these are sort of navigations, directional compasses. This bit here is the newest bit added to Concorde, and this is the TCAS screen, the only real electronic-y bit in the cockpit. Traffic collision and avoidance system. So there's a bit underneath the aircraft which you'll see. If an aircraft looks like it's going to crash into each other, the aircraft actually talk to each other. and it'll move. One will move one way, one will move the other, and move them out of the way. And that's what that bit is here. You've got 4 engines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 columns, 1 for each engine, and you've got 4 throttles. And these piano key type things are the reheat or the afterburners. So on takeoff, you've got to get this aircraft out there like the Ryanair 737-800 over there, that takes off about 150 miles an hour. Concorde takes off at 250 miles an hour. So you've got to get this aircraft up to 250 miles an hour in the same distance, i.e. the runway length that they use as well. This is why you use the reheat. Throttles forward, put these on 2 at a time, and then you get a heck of a kick, pushes the passengers back in the seat, and you get tremendous acceleration down to 250, and then you become airborne. Again, this dial here, this is a temperature gauge. Concorde doesn't have a speed limit, it has a temperature limit. It's made out of aluminium alloy. It can't go hotter than 127 degrees. Even at 60,000 feet, there is a bit of air up there, not much, but a bit. That friction with the airframe increases the temperature. If it rises above 127, then it causes issues with the airframe. If it gets to 125, the aircraft has to slow down. That's what this does. This is the autopilot. That's connected with the temperature. If we get to 125, 124, the aircraft will slow down. So there's no speed limit as such. Cruising speed about 1,350 miles an hour, which equates to the same for the temperature gauge. Fastest, this particular Concorde holds a speed limit at 1,488, because whatever weather conditions on that particular day, the temperature didn't get to. Talking about the temperature, what happens when you heat metal up? Expands. Concorde grows about 9 inches in flight when it's supersonic speed. So they have to account for that. They put in expansion joints. Just see where that blue tab is on the wall there. That's an expansion joint there. You can't get your fingers in there normally. There's a picture of a flight engineer with his hand in that gap because the aircraft expands. One of the things they did on the last flight is the flight engineer got the captain to sign his hat and squeezed his hat into the gap. So when it landed, the aircraft shrunk again, and well, whatever it did, it got smaller and traps his hat in that slot, so that's there forevermore. That particular aircraft is a thrusters. Flight engineer, anything above his table is to do with in-flight operations, so pumping fuel around the aircraft to trim the aircraft. Anything below his table is to do with engine start-up and emergencies. So you hopefully won't need this. Flight engineer sits there, so there's 3 crew. So the flight engineer, that's like the spare chair. So the Queen Mother used to sit there drinking gin and tonics when she was on it. So training captains, extra crew would sit there. You're the captain, I'm the first officer, so you're in charge, and that's the flight engineer. Busiest man on board. He had to monitor all these instruments, fuel temperature, everything, engines, just to make sure that everything was running.
But then there's 2 of these. So
Yeah. Well, one of you would have control.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, you both. It's not like on films where you're both going. One of you would take turns.
I'm assuming that all of it, a lot of it is computers on the latest compared to what we're seeing here.
Oh, this would be an
It's just
iPad.
unreal. Yeah.
And if there's a problem, it'd tell you nowadays, whereas the flight engineer had to actually look at it.
Wow.
How's it just
And
get it
that's-
in here?
Pardon?
How's it just get it in here?
Well, obviously landed it on the runway and then pushed it backwards across the grass
Yeah.
to here, and then a few years later we built a hangar around it. And that's the cockpit. Thank you very much.
Did you have to go back from the back end first and then come in that
No,
way?
we pushed it backwards across the grass.
And why can't we have another one with the technology today? I assume they won't do it.
No.
It'd be
Look,
nice.
look on the internet, a company called Boom, BOOM, they're looking at it in America. Funny enough, it looks very good.
Obviously a big impact on aviation generally, particularly on her bread and butter route to New York. Nevertheless, we can cover some that as well. So that's We've got that one last
Amazing. 22 minutes. And you'll be in New York City, so you can go shopping in New York for the day and leave it. I don't realise it goes all back.
Oh, you going to the back? Oh, do you know what? I should have done that. I didn't go on long.
In the photograph, right? Well, neither have I. You didn't think you'd have to hide it in the Concorde? Generator and gets things going first thing in the morning. It fires the engines up, the boilers and everything else. This aircraft does not have one. And the first question that would always be asked if Concorde was flying anywhere is, many of our UK airports have surrounded with grass. This is a category 5 weight aircraft. Her wheels meet grass. Grass is going to win out every time. Concorde doesn't stand a chance. So water and engines don't mix too well either. And even though these were highly tested in very wet conditions, the ideal is not to get water in there. So the spray deflectors literally keep the water low and out away from the engines, and that's what they're for. Once you come in here to join me, actually in the land of fuel. This aircraft's takeoff weight is 185 tonnes, and about 92 to 95 of that is fuel. She burns her own weighted fuel on one hop over to the States, and if I put that on an understandable scale for her, it would take you 46 years to burn the amount of fuel she used on one hop over to the States. So carbon footprint, massive. She used a lot of fuel, okay? It's hard. Swear intake from here. We don't have those. So you go deep into those air intakes, you'll see the filling mountain. And those engines are brilliant. They are Rolls-Royce Olympus 593 twin screens jet engines out there. Fire twin screens. They have the open bar. You See these two ramps in here. When the aircraft hits crucial speed after takeoff and it was going to power on, the first digital system ever fitted on an aircraft anywhere in the world came into play, and it controlled those two ramps and it brought those two ramps down. So you've got all the shooting into this big scary thing. All of a sudden it's got to smooth, not to go into a narrow. How did that? Incredible. You come to the side, the second this slope here now. I think that's pretty incredible. You'll see on the side of this is a little plaque here. That was put on its last flight coming here into Manchester, engineered to be the best, flew above the rest. They weren't wrong, were they? The engineers signed the names to that plaque one as she was leaving on her very last flight to come here to Manchester. Obviously, just move on. I'll finish off on these wheels because these are quite impressive too. You're not going to see these anywhere else. You'll notice she has very long legs. Not like the aircraft out there. You can't hold them in an aircraft like this. You can't do it. Very high on the ground. She needs these long legs for lots of reasons. She needs to take some steep and technical skill. Also to create the water so she's required to get airborne. And she's going to need to land. She needs long legs. But very necessary long legs. Very necessary narrow fuselage. How do you put such long legs in a narrow fuselage? The company that designed this legs, a Spanish company, put these legs on telescopes. So you'll see here these rods, they're telescopes. So when these legs start retracting into the belly of the aircraft, the first thing they do is go up. When the legs collapse in slightly, by the time they're retracting, they fit very nicely on top. Finally, the rear wheels at the back, you're not going to see them on the aircraft. They're called skid wheels, and again, they're designed to protect that fuel tank at the back of the aircraft because she does take off and land so steeply to protect a very, very, very expensive bottom. Now, I'm going to shut up now because that's about it. I'll see if you've got any questions. Normally, obviously, as I say, you've flown. Have you enjoyed this? Yeah, have you? Good. Okay. Have you got any questions? I'm like everyone else's kids. You have to decide. That's good. Okay.